Duncanville and this unassuming little garage. Hello.
Hello, I'm Jerry Bair. Welcome to my little corner of the woodworking world.
All right.
I have a ton of stuff in a little bitty space. I try hard to park my wife's car in here most every night. Unless I'm working on a big project.
Right.
Mostly I do Intarsia, bandsaw boxes. I do some small laser stuff. I design layered crosses and ornaments and things that I end up making. I cut on the laser. I have got a little laser here.
Okay.
But also a lot of that I cut on a scroll saw.
Okay.
So, and then I make patterns out of my layered pieces. We'll show you some of those at some point. And I make patterns out of those and I sell those on my Etsy site.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that kind of pays for my wood. My wood.
Right.
That's my wood money. Come on in my little alcove.
All right.
So since I do a lot of Intarsia work, I do a lot of stuff where everything needs to be kind of close anyway. So let's just take, for example, this is a bandsaw box that I'm working on. I've been working on and off. I've got some of the drawers not completely cut out, but it's also, I'm kind of excited about this. This is kind of a unique little piece. I guess I should have been a little more prepared. But this is the Intarsia piece that's going to go on the front of this box. It won't be quite this thick. I'll thin this down, but this is a piece that I've got working on. And so the idea here is, as you can see, the finished guy. This will be the front of the drawer. Okay. And then the eyebrows will be the handle to open the drawer up.
Nice.
And then the bottom piece here will be, all this will be connected to this, and then the nose will pull this drawer out. And then there's also a little piece back here that I plan on putting tail feathers on. And then you can open that drawer from the back. So nice. It's a work in progress. I've been kind of working on it on and off here and there. I'm kind of excited about it. As soon as I saw this pattern, and I don't know why, I said I could make a box out of that. And so I was like, oh, so let's do it. And so that's what I did. So done with that. That's one of the things that I've been working on. So let's talk about the Intarsia a little bit. So a lot of times what I do is I scroll it on my scroll saw, and I'll scroll out the pieces. I used to set them aside, and then I have my sanding station set up where I use these pneumatic drum sanders. I've got some smaller ones and bigger ones, and I've got different sizes and some sanding mops that I use to sand and shape the pieces as I go. I got it hooked up to makeshift dust collector over there that I can hook up here, made a little downdraft, and then it's a messy,
right.
It's messy doing a lot of sanding here, but this drum right here will eat some wood fast. It's got 80 grit on it, and when it's running, it'll take down some wood really quick. So this can really help you shape pieces and round them over, and to sand curves and lines in the wood.
So the pneumatic drum sander is so that you can flex the sandpaper a little more than just
you can definitely, you can see here, you can see how much it'll flex. I mean, this one's kind of low. I can air it up even tighter, but when I'm sanding, I can get really nice smooth curves out of the wood when you're doing that. You get that shaping, the ability to shape stuff. So So my setup is kind of set up for that. And I've been using this drill press for a long time just for this. It wasn't accurate enough for some of the things I'll do, like clocks and things like that. So I bought a better drill press, and I just use it here. But my workflow, kind of like when we were talking about, is now I can sand a piece, I can take it back and forth. I do a lot of that. So this is mainly set up for my Intarsia work. But I also can just clear off my bench, and I'll do some of my layered laser designs and stuff, where I glue stuff up and things like that here at the bench. I've been doing that, so I've got a lot of different, I got all my stuff here at hand. So I have a lot of junk out here. I have a lot of stuff that I do, I have stuff that reminds me to, cut twice and things like that. I made a little clock out of this gear. And if you get close, you see out of round, bad gear, remember, lots of work, learning lesson. So I just made a clock out of it because it's like, after you cut all those out by hand and then you find out that the paper you copied it on was...
Right. You're not going to get rid of it.
Yeah. So anyway, so just things like that. I've got some of that stuff out here. It's just kind of my little area, and Intarsia, Intarsia is taking different species of woods and using the colors to make them, a mosaic, basically, or to make an item and make it all out of wood and use the natural colors of the wood, so no stains or paints. Now, if you do a piece that's like where you would use some stain or you would paint it, you could cut this out of one piece of wood and then put it all back together, and that basically they call that segmentation. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit different process. It's the same, you can shape it, you can do all that stuff, and then you can paint it or stain it or dye it and use the colors. And in some cases, you want to use some stains every now and then, or some dyes. I use dyes a little bit. Some of the folks might remember that I made that 2x4 challenge. I made a jazz player, and I used dyes for that because it was all 2x4. You get different color out of it, but it was the same process as doing an Intarsia piece. So
on your current project here, what species are you representing?
Well, I have sapele. I've got some wenge. I got some sycamore, and then I have marblewood. This is actually padok. It's it's orange, right? But it's been sitting in the sun. It's dark, and I didn't realize it until I'd cut it out. The sides are real orange. But my plan is this is my plan. I don't know if it's going to work yet or not. When I sand these, I'm going to round them over just a little bit all around the edges. And when I do, I'll leave orange all the way around, and I'm going to try to leave the center that dark. And then just
have a natural pupil there.
Yeah, have a natural pupil there. It's just something I thought about, so I don't know. I'm going to try it and see how it works. If it doesn't, there'll be orange eyes. Okay. So fair enough, right? So these are pretty fun. I didn't design this. A lady named Laura Irish designed this owl.
Okay.
And another lady, this is in Wisconsin, her name is Jo Labra. This is her rendition of Laura Irish's drawing. Okay. So the other thing I do is when I'm doing a project, or I'm thinking about doing a project, I'll put it up here to work on it and give me some ideas. There's that jazz guy that I did. Yeah. And then I made a dove. Jerry Stringer still got one of that dove we're making a plaque out of. So I've done a few of these angels. So that's just for reference. It's my little reference place. I keep them up there as I go through it.
Okay.
The Intarsia generally comes in a pattern. So you can see we've got all the different pieces here. And draw it on Inkscape. Actually, this one was drawn for me. The lady who did this, she sent me the pattern. Once she found out that I had bought Laura Irish's, has a big, it's like, I don't know, it's a huge file. It cost me about $80, and it's hundreds and hundreds of drawings. She has all these great books. A lot of people might recognize some of them, like the Book of Dragons, Book of Fairies, great book of Celtic stuff. And I've got her book there. She's really good at drawing here's the dragon patterns, fairy patterns. And I bought her complete collection. And Jo had it. And so when she did, she sent me the pattern for that.
Okay.
So, and then this is my latest. This is my design. This is the Easter cross that I designed. I cut it. I don't have it because I sold it. It was a commission piece.
Okay.
There's some pictures of it on the Chisholm Trail Woodworkers.
Okay.
I like to do that. I've done a few pieces of furniture.
Okay.
Even on my little rigid saw. This cover's kind of a mess, but I've got everything. But I can roll out my little table saw and my band saw. It's pretty quick. I can get to it pretty quick. I like my Grizzly here's really good saw. I've got a lot of different kinds of woods back here. A bunch of different kinds. What's it worked up?
The stock pot.
Yeah, I got a lot of different kinds of wood. Some of, I buy it if I see some stuff that I like. I've got like lignum vitae, and I don't know. I've got all kinds of different kinds of woods. Just marble wood and lots of maple and big old chunk of bloodwood right there. If I see it, I think it's cool, I won't buy it.
Okay.
Because my Intarsia is important, and you get all the different colors and stuff, and try to use that. And then I also do laser work. I do that laser work, and so a lot of this is this thin wood I use on the laser when I'm making my homemade router table with Hitachi router in it. I've done some. I did some raised panels on it.
Okay.
Really nice cabinet. I got one in the kitchen that I made. So I've done some of that. I can pull this out.
You got the planer down there.
Yeah, I got this thickness planer. I've had it a long time. It works good. It still works for me. I've got some maple that's been chipping out for me. I put new blades in it, and it didn't help. So it's just the maple, but I'll work on that. Yeah, the Pegasus scroll saw is like, this is my baby right here. This is man, this is a sweet deal. This is a machine, man. It's so quiet. It's no vibration. I can cut on this for all day. I had a Sears. I went to Porter Cable, and then I had DeWalt for 8 years.
Right.
And so I've been scrolling for a while, and I got this thing, and it's just, it's the best $1,000 I ever spent.
It's like moving up to the Cadillac.
Oh, I'm telling you, a Mercedes, yeah.
Right.
It's really nice saw. I really enjoy it. Cutting with it, and I kind of set it up. I've got my dust collection set up.
Okay.
Some people might know what this is, some might not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's actually mine. I'm not going to say whose it is, but it's used and it works good. I just hooked it up to the dust collector, plug it in, and it works real well. Yeah, I got a pretty good library. I've gone through quite a few books, and then I've got my bandsaw. I got. It looks like a mess, but it's fairly organized. A lot of junk goes up on there, but
Jerry knows where it is.
I do. I know where it is. I made quite a few jigs over the years. Picture frame jig,
right.
And then I use I made that. I got my crosscut sled.
Right.
And I'll tell you, it's invaluable. I've been using this for a while. This is my second or third one. It's super accurate.
Yeah.
It really. even on my little rigid saw, it's just.
Yeah.
It's really accurate. You set it up. I got spline jigs, and I've got another one. I made this jig just to route circle, to have a wedge to go on my router table. It's for that.
Yeah.
And then here's the 45-degree sled, spline sled. This is actually a project that took me a long time to make, and I've only used it a couple times. And it's a box joint jig.
Okay.
And it goes on the rotations of the handle. I saw it on YouTube, and I just had to make it, so I made it. Everybody, I can hang something or put something. Yeah, I do. That's why it's so full of junk. So
tell us about
and stuff.
Tell us about your laser here.
Just a little atom stack. I built the case when I first bought it. I just made it out of MDF, and it works pretty good. But this has been a little workhorse for me. I've been surprised. It's slow. And it takes a while to make stuff, but I do a lot of these ornaments, the different types of ornaments and stuff. These are just little scraps that I've made. These are all my own little designs that I've done over the years. And so I'll make these, and most of these are layers, and these are only pieces of the layers.
Well, I was going to ask if you do the design on the laser, then cut them out on the scroll saw.
Absolutely. So most of the time, when I design something, I design it for the scroll saw. But then I can cut it on here. I just make an SVG file, an Inkscape, drop it in Lightburn, and I can cut any of this. But this is really designed to be cut on the scroll saw. Okay. And that's where I go when Etsy, when I sell my patterns, I'm going for the scroll saw community, not the laser community.
Right.
And which is kind of nice. But see, I can come out and I can prove out a pattern. I can look at it, see if it looks good, whatever. I can also, if I know I'm going to have to make a bunch, mm-hmm. then I'll do it on the laser. I've got this little ornament here that I just designed. A lady at church asked me to design an ornament for a dulcimer group.
Okay.
This little laser, at That takes about 6 passes. So as it runs through, it takes about 6 passes to cut one of these, for each one of the layers. And so I'll cut one layer and then change the wood and I'll do another one. Then if I'm going to do a bunch, what I'll do is I'll set a bunch of there'll be several of them on here, right?
Right.
And then the same here, I'll do a batch of the second layers and a batch of the third layers, and then I can get them apart and I glue them all together.
Okay.
So I do that with the laser, and
okay. And then what do you have hidden away in the Snap-on toolbox?
oh, that's tools. That was my dad's.
Okay.
So my dad was a mechanic. That was his old Snap-on box. That's an old Snap-on box.
Right.
And I have all my tools in it, hand tools, just like you would any other toolbox.
Right.
Pretty much what's in there. And I bought this thing, and I like it. And I've got just stuff, full of stuff,
Right.
my chisels and just and then hardware.
Right.
It was kind of nice to be able to organize the hardware. It's good to be able to come out here and go and see what's all in it. But I really, this one, lots of stuff. So I also make these fly presentation cases, and I have some pieces of one that I cut on a laser, and I sell these on Etsy too. And they're just like a fly reel.
Right.
And then I put these, I put magnets in here. I wish I had one. I put magnets in, and then I made these little magnet roach clips, right? Whatever you want to call them. Yeah. But they're to hold the fly after somebody's tying a fly, let it dry, or just to present it. These are ties that I don't tie flies. I have a good buddy of mine who does.
It's another craft altogether.
Oh yeah, I got a good friend of mine. He's really good at it too, and he ties flies. And most all the things that I did for the fly tying or the fly fishing kind of thing, I did because of him. And I make these out of scrap wood. A bunch of people have seen these. I had this at the meeting last time.
Okay.
And I just use some of my leftover 1/8" laser, and then I usually just find a chunk of wood, and I make these, and they're magnetic. And what they're meant for is you hold your fishing rod against your truck.
Oh, okay.
Keep it from falling over. If you're a fly fisherman, you might spend $800-900 on a fly rod. I wouldn't, but some people will. And you don't want it falling over and hitting the ground or get closed up in a truck door or something, So I make these. I sell these on Etsy. I get like $20 a piece for these, $25 a piece for these.
Okay.
And I can engrave. It's kind of nice having a laser because you can see I got a bunch of blanks here.
Right.
And so on my Etsy, you can choose a fly or a trout, a redfish, a bass, smallmouth, largemouth. So you can choose those. And I sold a lot of these at Christmas.
Okay.
Women buy them for their husbands or their fly fishing. That's a good little market for scrap wood.
Okay.
And I add the little swivels and stuff. So that's some of the stuff I like to do out here. I don't really like making stuff over and over again. That's one thing that's nice about the laser, because I can set it up and it can do it. It can do that over and over for me, and that's good. I don't like just sitting at scroll saw making the same thing over and over and over.
Right.
It's just not. This doesn't do anything for my creative process at all.
Okay.
So getting a one-off or just getting an idea, like the box, I'm going to do this, really gets me going, and gets my interest. But at the same time, it seems like I'm always, I'll work for a while on something and put it aside. I'll set it over to the side a little bit, and then I'll work on something else, and I'll come back to it. Seems to help a lot. So except for my gear clock here. That I've been working on. That's been up here for a long time. I have another. I'll show you in a little bit. I've got another clock in the house that I made, and this is one I'm working on. And I had a really hard time making a piece that goes up here. I tried 5 or 6 times, and I finally just said, I'm gonna step away, and I'll get back to it. That's why I leave it up here. This was just a mount that I made. I think I had this. I had this guy on. Let's see if it'll. This was fun. It was a fun little project. No place really else to put it, so you can wind it up. It runs on a spring. It was kind of a fun project. a guy named Clayton Boyer designed it. He did the clocks too. This Connect sculptures, and it's got some weights in it, and it's driven by a spring. And when it's all running and tuned up, I can wind it up and run about 25 minutes.
Nice.
It's not going to do that tonight, but
Right.
but it gives you an idea what's going on with that.
So it looks like.
But I like to use my scrap. So when I'm making, I got my little hugs, so what I do is, I had a good example.
Nice.
What I do is, so if I'm making, say I'm making this, and I've got a piece of wood that's 6 inches wide or whatever, I'll actually on the pattern in light burn, I'll go and I'll plug these in, everywhere where there's space.
Okay.
And then I just let it run, and it engraves them and it cuts them. And then before I finish that, it'll finish. And then I take all the hugs out and I flip them all over, and I do the other side in the same hole that they just came out of.
Okay.
And then I can get my piece out because you can't move anything, right?
Right.
And then, but I've made hundreds. I got tons of these.
So no waste.
Yeah. I
Operating
try to
the laser.
It was just something I saw, and I was trying to figure it out one day, and I had this idea of making some kind of pocket thing, and I came up with the idea. And I've seen like pocket hugs. We've seen those before, but these are fun. I finish them and I give them away. I usually put some spray lacquer on them. So this one here, it says "Squeeze me if you need me," and on the other side, it says "Pass me along if you see the need." And I give these away. I keep them in my truck. I've got some, if I go through a drive-through and somebody's giving me good customer service, gives me a big smile, I give them a hug.
Nice.
You have to be real careful with it though, because I've had people break down and cry on me. I mean, it's just a stupid little piece of wood, but
that's a great thing.
It's a great thing. It's fun. So